Hello guys, welcome back. Imagine being locked in a prison from which escape seems almost impossible. All around you, for thousands of kilometers, there is nothing but snow and ice. But you have to escape from here at any cost, because staying here is like hell in real life. So story begins in a freezing, godforsaken prison deep in Siberia. Hundreds of German soldiers stand in line, shivering in the bitter cold. After World War II ended, the Russians had captured thousands of German troops and forced them to work in dangerous coal mines. What was strange about this prison was that the security wasn't actually that tight. The fences weren't impossible to cross. Yet almost no one ever tried to escape. Why? Because the location itself was the real prison. As far as the eye could see, there was only endless, frozen wilderness. This jail was nearly 14,000 kilometers away from any human settlement. If anyone did manage to break out, the deadly Siberian winter would almost certainly kill them, long before they reached safety. No one had the courage to face that white hell. But among those prisoners was one man whose mind never stopped working. His name was Clemens Forell. He had only one dream burning inside him: to escape this frozen nightmare and return to his wife and daughter. Clemens had been sentenced to 25 years. He refused to let half his life disappear behind these icy walls. Then one day, luck finally gave him a chance. He quietly slipped into a coal train and hid among the cargo. As the train rolled away from the prison, Clemens felt a rush of joy he hadn't known in years. For the first time in a long time, he saw the open sky and the stars shining above him. But his freedom lasted only a few hours. The train was suddenly stopped. When Clemens peeked out, a Russian soldier was standing there with his rifle pointed straight at him. He was caught. For attempting to escape, he received a brutal punishment. This time they threw him into an open-air cell with no roof, just the freezing sky above and ice all around. The cold was beyond anything he had ever felt. Rain began to fall at night, soaking him to the bone. He stayed in that open cell for 2 full days and nights, fighting to stay alive. On the third morning, the warden finally came and pulled him out. Surprisingly, the warden didn't torture him himself. He simply said, "Your comrades are waiting for you." Clemens didn't understand until he reached the yard. Every other prisoner was standing there, holding sticks and clubs, their eyes filled with rage. Because of his escape attempt, the entire prison had been punished, kept without food for 2 days. Now, they were ready to take their anger out on him. The moment he stepped closer, they attacked. They beat him mercilessly with sticks and rods. When the beating finally stopped, Clemens was barely conscious. They had to rush him to the prison hospital. The doctor there was also a German prisoner. When Clemens woke up, he looked at the doctor and whispered, "I want to try again. I need your help." The doctor was stunned. After everything Clemens had suffered, he still refused to give up. The doctor warned him, "Escaping from here and surviving the Siberian winter is almost impossible." Then he paused and added quietly, "But staying here is just as deadly. The coal dust you breathe every day is slowly poisoning your lungs. It causes cancer. You will die here anyway." After thinking for a moment, the doctor made his decision. He opened his cupboard and gave Clemens all his warm clothes, boots, and supplies. He also handed him a pistol and a lunchbox. "These supplies were for me," the doctor said. "I plan to escape too, but I just learned I have cancer. I probably have only a few weeks left. Take everything. If you survive, please deliver this lunchbox to my family and tell them I'm gone." That same night, under the cover of darkness, Clemens escaped again. This time he didn't use the train. He walked the entire night and kept going through the next day, terrified that the Russians would catch him. When the warden discovered the escape, he immediately suspected the doctor. By the time he reached the doctor's room, it was too late. The doctor had already taken his own life to avoid torture. The warden sent soldiers after Clemens with orders to bring him back alive. They searched for days, but heavy snowfall kept covering his tracks. Most people believed he had already frozen to death somewhere in the white wasteland, but the warden knew better. He knew Clemens was too stubborn to die easily. Meanwhile, Clemens was still alive, pushing forward through blizzards, starving and exhausted. After 9 days of walking, he collapsed from hunger and fatigue. When he woke up, he saw a seal lying on the ice nearby. With his last strength, he raised his gun, but his hands were shaking too badly, and he missed. Desperate, he chased the seal on foot. Suddenly, the ice broke beneath him and he fell into the freezing water. His leg was injured, but he climbed out and kept running. At the very last moment, he fired his final bullet. It hit the seal. For the first time in many days, he ate until his stomach was full. That small victory gave him the strength to continue. He walked completely alone for 2 long months across the endless snow. To keep his mind from breaking, he talked to himself and checked his compass constantly. Then one day, he saw something that made his heart leap. A single small tree standing in the middle of the white desert. He ran to it and hugged it like an old friend. It was the first sign that he had finally crossed the frozen wasteland. Beyond it, a forest began. He collected wood, lit a fire, and for the first time in months, slept peacefully. But his journey was far from over. A terrible blizzard struck the forest. A giant tree snapped and fell directly on him. Just in time, 2 men who were searching for gold found him and saved his life. The 3 of them continued together. They built a small raft to cross a river. While floating, they shared stories from their childhood. Suddenly, the current became violent. One man lost his balance and fell into the freezing water. He couldn't swim. Without hesitation, Clemens jumped in and dragged him to safety. The 3rd man, however, was greedy. Thinking both were going to drown, he took all the gold and abandoned them. When the 2 survivors later caught up with him, the greedy man pulled a gun. In anger, Clemens shot him. Now only 2 remained. As winter returned and snow covered the forest again, the other man grew suspicious. He thought Clemens wanted to steal his gold. He attacked and pushed Clemens hard. Clemens fell and blacked out. When he woke up, a pack of wolves was closing in. He tried to climb a tree, but a wolf grabbed his leg and the weak tree snapped. Just as he thought death had finally come, gunshots rang out. Local hunters had arrived and saved him. They took him to their village. After years of suffering, Clemens was finally among people again. The villagers fed him and cared for him. One day, a letter arrived from the prison warden warning that a German escapee was on the run, and anyone helping him would be considered a traitor. Knowing he was putting the village in danger, Clemens left. Before he departed, the villagers gave him food and a hunting dog for company. Now he was no longer completely alone. They traveled together until they reached a lumber factory. The workers recognized his story, felt sorry for him, and put him on a train heading toward Germany. But the factory owner had secretly informed the warden. At the station, the warden and his soldiers were waiting. Clemens spotted them from a distance, jumped off the moving train, and ran. The warden blocked his path, but Clemens' loyal dog attacked the warden, giving him a chance to escape. Gunshots rang out, and the dog fell dead. Heartbroken, Clemens kept running. He climbed onto a bridge and jumped onto a passing train below. 7 long years had now passed since his escape. It was 1922. Clemens was in Central Asia, wandering through a village fair. He had no money. His eyes fell on 2 girls selling pancakes. One girl took pity on him and gave him a piece. An older, wealthy man watching nearby had once been a prisoner himself. Instead of turning Clemens in, he took him home, gave him a shave, new clothes, and a fake passport. With the new papers, Clemens finally reached the Russian-German border. His heart pounded as he showed the passport to the guard. The guard waved him through without suspicion. As he walked across the bridge that would take him into Germany, a bright light suddenly hit his face. He looked up. The warden was standing right there. Clemens froze. He thought everything was over, but the warden slowly stepped aside and said quietly, "This fight was only between 2 soldiers. You and me. You won. Now go live your life." With those words, the warden let him pass. Clemens finally stepped onto German soil. A short time later, he reached his hometown. From a distance, he saw his wife and daughter leaving the house to go to church. He followed them silently. His daughter turned around, recognized her father after all those years, and ran into his arms. His wife's eyes filled with tears of joy as she joined the embrace. After years of unimaginable struggle, pain, and hope, Clemens Forell was finally home with his family. And that is where this true story ends.